What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Mountain Motorsports in Roswell, and today on this first ride we are doing the 2020 Ducati Scrambler Desert Sled. So if you guys aren't familiar, we are in the middle of a comparison series of all of the Scrambler models for Ducati. We're going to do the 62, the Desert Sled, the Cafe Racer, and the 1100. So make sure to click down below for that series so you guys can see all the videos in the series. We're basically comparing them to see who needs each of these motorcycles. So this is their kind of off-roady version. It's also ironically their heaviest one, even though it doesn't have the biggest engine. So I think this thing is probably one of the coolest looking ones. Also, my gloves perfectly match the bike. Don't judge how old my gloves are. Okay, without further ado, let us get it begoing. Begoing? Begoing. Before we get going, y'all got to give me a like in this video for matching the gloves to the motorcycle, right? All right, we're in neutral. Let's get this thing going. All right, this is their tallest one too. Obviously, you know, it's for more off-road purposes, so my short little legs are gonna have a rough time. Woo! Okay, I am super tippy-toe situation. I've got a 32-inch inseam. My legs can barely flat foot, but over here I can just tiptoe. So this is going to be a taller motorcycle. Be ready. If you are a shorter rider, you are gonna have to deal with that. Ooh wee. So guys, I just got off of the 62, the 400cc model, and this is welcome. Let's get this dirt bike going. Okay. I feel tall. I feel like I'm in an SUV. You know how in an SUV you feel like you're taller than everybody else? That's how I feel like here. All right, Cafe Racer Desert Sled, baby. Woo! Here we go. Woo, it feels good to be in an 800cc engine, my guy. All righty. So guys, here we are in the Desert Sled Scrambler from Ducati. Body position wise, I told you guys I feel like I'm upright, but as far as my ergonomics go, I've got, again, relatively straight arms, very similar to the 62, but I feel like I'm much more up on top of this motorcycle. I don't feel, with the 62, I felt inside the bike. I don't feel like that here. I feel like I'm on top, which is a position I'm personally more comfortable in. My legs are a little more forward, they're less bent, as you guys can see in the camera car, and my back's pretty upright. The seat is a little harder. I imagine that's going to be because you're on a dirt bike situation. These mirrors are so much better than the 62. I don't know, this is a good bike to come to off the 62 because it's so much more premium. Granted, it costs $4,000 more. There's a price increase of 50%. But with that 50%, you know, this bike's coming in at 12 grand. You get a lot. You also get a really cool looking bike. So there's that. I've got these upgraded blinkers that you can use to access the modes, which is super nice. As far as modes go on this bike, it is going to be more off-road focused. You got off-road ABS, you got an off-road mode itself. So while you can ride this on the street, you know, you should be able to do some light off-roading with it. I'm gonna adjust these mirrors. Ooh, and adjusting them is easy. Oh, thank God. I love mirrors that I can easily adjust. These are definitely them. I am not used to being this high up on a bike. My WR has been in the shop. If you guys don't know, I have a 2008 WR 250X, which is like a Supermoto situation. And it's a little bit of a taller bike, but not this tall, which I love that. But if I didn't have a WR 250X, I would want this motorcycle so much more. Check that out. So differences here, we have a gear indicator, which is awesome. Love that. We got a gas gauge, which is even more clutch. If you're going to do any type of off-roading, you definitely want to check the gas before you head out there. So it's good to see that. Woo! Now, something you're gonna have to keep in mind with this bike, guys. One, I don't do off-roading. I don't know anything about off-roading, and any time I've ever gone, it's been a terrible situation. I fall every time. So we're not gonna be testing this bike off-road. It's gonna be totally on-road. But this bike, kind of leaning it back and forth, it's one of those bikes that it's got a lot of weight that you gotta push around, and it feels like it. Interestingly, this is the heaviest scrambler in the class. Even though it only has the 800cc version of the engine, it is heavier than the 1100. I'm imagining that's probably because they've got some beefed up stuff. I know the frame is a little different on this compared to the others, and I'm assuming that's where that extra weight comes from, because, you know, if this is built for off-road, you are going to need to have a little bit beefier components, because it's going to be subject to braking and falling a lot more often. I will say, for a bike that's kind of meant to be on and off-road, like light off-road and mostly on-road, it has a grunty sound. The 62 had a grunty sound as well, but this has got like an even better one. Hopefully it comes through in the sound checks. Everything you do on this bike has to be calculated. You can't just make a decision and go in one direction. You got to be like, okay, I'm going to go in that direction in a second. Let me start pushing my weight in that direction. That's what weight will do for you, man. Luckily, we do have these handlebars, which gives you a lot of maneuverability. But, you know, when you're dealing with that much weight, you're kind of sacrificing a little bit of that agility. Yeah, this is one of those bikes that, like, if you lean it over too far, my man, you just have to be like, all right, the bike's going to go down. You just have to accept that. You know, with it being heavy and tall, it's kind of a bad combo. Gravity is not going to be your friend. The brakes are interesting here. They get progressively strong. They have a little bit of bite up front, but they have a really progressive feel. You got to keep squeezing them in, and you get a consistent amount of braking. Like we'll apply them up here. That suspension is soft enough to where my front of this bike is diving down. The brakes are all right. I like that the levers are adjustable. I really appreciate that. What gear are we in? Does it know? It doesn't know. All right, let's get into neutral. I will say, transmission feels a little better on this bike. It's not as hard to shift the gears as it was on the 62. The 62, man, you had to just smash the transmission. Like, if you wanted to go down, you were stomping. Transmission is a little bit better here, which is very non-Ducati-like. I love the way the power comes on this motorcycle. It feels so fun. And I think something that makes me enjoy it even more is my WR is very similar to this bike. It's a bike that can go off-road, but it's mostly on-road. I've got kind of dual-purpose tires on it, but the problem is it's a 250. So I don't really get a lot of power with it to do fun stuff like skirt through traffic like that. You kind of just have to accept what you got and use what you got. But here, I've got 800 cc's of play with me, you know what I mean? I can actually have a good time. I can throttle up and get around traffic. And I'm not used to that on the dual sport motorcycle. Like, look at that. I see an opening, throttle up, take it. Good times, man. Now, speaking of my WR, who I clearly missed because I've mentioned it so many times in this video, somewhere with the WR sucks butt is the highway. But now we have an 800cc. We have a much heavier motorcycle, so I've got some high hopes. I'm hoping this bike does pretty decent on the highway. We will find out in a moment. Jeep, baby Jeep, I got you, fam. Go on and get in. Clutch feels pretty well weighted. I really like the amount of pull I've got on it. The 62 had a good clutch too. And if you guys don't know, when we're talking about clutches, it's like how much power does it take for me to pull this clutch in? Some bikes it takes a lot, some bikes it doesn't take enough. And that would be a heavier or a lighter clutch feel. All right, with our good clutch on our Ducati Scrambler Desert Sled, we are headed to the highway. How will the wind be? Will the 800cc be enough? Let's go ahead and let this white car in front of us because she clearly wants to be there. Not like we're gonna stand behind her for long. All right, mirrors are helpful here. Blinkers feel good. There's the type of engine I like. You want to go fast on the highway? Okay. Look at that. We caught a Porsche. That's awesome. That honestly is more power than I expected to have here. I figured this engine would be tuned for like low down torque, and I thought it would kind of die off on the highway, and we got to 100 before I even realized it. Well, that was sweet. I should have figured out of an 800cc, but you know, you just never know with these type of things. Alright, so I'm going to give you guys one guess at how the wind is. Atrocious. I feel like I am having to yell right now just to be able to talk to you guys. My gosh. Granted, at least we got power. Look at that. Look at that 110. Look at that 115. Look at that 120. Look at that 120. There it is. All right, we can chill off now. Oh, good times. Good times. Don't expect to be doing this on a dual sport like this, but man, I'll tell you, it really is fun. Alright guys, so let's drop back to commuter status. Around that 75-80 mile per hour mark. The wind is definitely there. It's definitely capable to commute on, but you are going to get a lot of wind hitting your upper chest and your head, and that mixed with an upright body position is going to tire you out. You know, if you get hit with the wind and you have a more forward body position, you can kind of lean into the wind and it'll hold you up. But if you're upright, you know, you're getting pushed back. You're like a dang sail in the wind. Definitely something that's considered, but at least you got the power to get you on the highway. Bike also feels super stable on the highway. You know, like I'm not getting blown around at all. I am taller up. I do have a heavier motorcycle, so I would expect that. And it's definitely here. All right, coming up to our big off the highway turn. Now, I don't think I'm going to surprise anybody, but I don't think this bike is going to be great in this turn. This bike is not an on-road, you know, ride through the twisties motorcycle, so I'm interested to see how this is going to go. Honestly, it's not bad. I like the weight. I feel planted. I don't feel like I'm going anywhere, and I can just settle into that turn. Man, I'm surprised at that. Look at you, little desert sled. Surprising your boy left and right. So yeah, when I was in that turn, guys, the weight of this thing kind of, you know, the suspension is soft, so in the beginning it's kind of messing around a little bit. But once you settle that suspension in, and you've got that weight on your side and you're just leaned into a turn, I felt good. Surprisingly good, to be honest. You know, one thing I'm noticing now, I told you guys in the beginning of this, I'm higher up, and being higher up is kind of nice here in traffic. I mean, look, I'm face to face with a truck person, so if you guys ride a truck, that's kind of the height you're going to be at, but I can see straight over this car ahead of me, which is really nice. You know, sometimes you if you're behind a car with tinted windows, you can't really see through the car. But here, I can see over the damn thing. So it gives me a better vantage point of the road, which to me makes me feel like I'm a little safer. It gives me like a heads up about what's going to be going on ahead of me, you know? And that way I can make the maneuvers that I need to make ahead of time before we get there. So here on city streets, this I think is where we can really get a feel for that torquiness. Look at that, third gear going 50. Throttle that thing up and you are going somewhere. Let's skirt around traffic for a second. Do you guys notice when I'm changing gears and I'm, you know, going through traffic, things are methodical. It takes time to get where I'm going. I can't make these little skirt maneuvers. You know, that's just something you're gonna have to factor in with this motorcycle. I'm really interested at how this thing rides off-road with it having as much weight as it does, because I feel like that weight would hinder you, you know, trying to go through dirt and stuff like that. But like I said, I don't really have a lot of experience off-road, so I can't really say. Now let's get those squishy brakes working for us. Brakes are definitely there. They can definitely get you stopped if necessary, but it's takes a lot of energy, which, you know, thinking about it, it's probably a good thing, because if you're going to do this thing off-road, you got to be careful, dude. You can't squeeze on the front brakes on dirt, because you're going to wash the front out, and then you're really not going to be having a good time. Or maybe you are, dude. I don't know what kind of stuff you enjoy. What am I saying? That fender up front is having a rough time. It is on the shakes. The more I ride this 800cc version of a Scrambler, the more I realize, man, that the Scrambler feels like it was made for an 800cc. For like, not that the 62 wasn't fun, but it just feels like I would expect the amount of engine out of a motorcycle like this. I don't know if that makes sense, but I feel like everything is in equilibrium right now. You know, the weight, the power, everything. I'm kind of digging this like methodical power, you know, like the power's being delivered in a good way. And that mixed with like this platform that's maybe a little tall, a little heavy. It takes some muscling to get around, but there's like a box that this is all clicking on, and I am enjoying the hell out of it, man. Oh, I like the little red shift lights. Those are cool. I'm down for that. Oh, we got gas range too? Hell yeah, dude. This bike is weird, man. I feel like I'm getting some attributes of a motorcycle that I did not expect to be getting, because when you think of a dual sport, you know, it's got to tick so many boxes, but so it can be ridden on road and off road. And I feel like this is way more enjoyable on road than I expected at all. You know, I've got way beefier of an engine than I kind of came into this expecting. And it's allowing me to have such a good time riding. Oh, we're all just doing this? Okay, cool. And you're just gonna get in the middle of the lane? Wow. I told you guys when this video started, for whatever reason today, people cannot ride or drive. Hopefully it's just drive. But yeah, back to this bike. It's making me feel like I need to ride it differently here on the road. Granted, I would love to hoon it through a golf course, But one, that's looked down upon, and two, I don't want to dump it. Now, granted, I would love to just wreck this thing so that then I would have to purchase it for the Wreck Bike Rebuild Garage show, and then we could rebuild it and give it away, people. By the way, sign up for winning free motorcycles down below. Look for Wreck Bike Rebuild Garage. Anyway, back to the Scrambler Desert Sled. It's oddly satisfying that I'm wanting to ride this more like an on-road bike, more than this like, oh, I could go off-road if I want, but it's kind of like halfsies. It doesn't really know what it wants. I honestly think this might be a better road bike than it is a dirt bike, which by the looks of it, you would not think that. See that trail? That's a desert sled trail right there. Look at, listen to that. Just sounds like a monster's in there somewhere. Not a Ducati monster, regular monsters. You know, the other kind of monsters. Still having no problems with the transmission, guys. I've had no false neutrals or slipping into gears. So far, so good. All right, let's hold this and see if we can get into a mode. Hold it. How long do you have to hold it to get into a different mode? I'm in neutral, so it should be changing. Oh, there you go, settings. Riding mode, yes. RPM, no, I want riding mode. Journey, off-road, journey. I'm gonna stay in journey mode, please, and thanks. Riding mode, journey. I guess if you're gonna ride to the dirt, you ride there in journey, and then you go off-road, right? That's that you turn it in off-road mode. Okay, cool. I guess that's what that is. Now, in situations like this, where I know this motorcycle needs to be ridden off-road, but I don't have access to that, you guys can let me know down in the comments what channels have done an off-road review of this motorcycle. And that way, if you guys are looking for off-road reviews for this bike, you can kind of have a resource down there. That way, you know, I don't have to give that to you. Hopefully somebody's done a good off-road review. Oh, there's a cop here. That's going to make this real interesting. Wonder if he's going to come over and be like, hey, you can't be at this church. You can't walk around motorcycles and talk shit about them. I don't talk shit about these bikes. I love these things. All right, boys, we might get kicked out, but just be ready. Just be ready for it. All right. The tall boy. The Ducati Scrambler Desert Sled. Oh, my God. It's so tall. All right, guys. So we have here what is probably one of the best looking scramblers. Personally, I think the Cafe Racer is slightly cooler, but I love the hell out of the look of this motorcycle. You guys know I like white, red, and black a lot. Anyway, as you guys can tell, look at the freaking ground clearance. You got clearance. Don't worry about that. We got spoked wheels, which are cool. Even has this little, you know, I guess if you're going to ride with some buddies and a rock was going to come up, that would save your headlight. I appreciate when motorcycles have a look and it's cohesive. This bike has a cohesive look. I do kind of wish we had some sort of protection here stock. That would make a little more sense to me because, you know, we've got this other protection up here. That it seems like it needs that. As far as the engine with the red trellis frame, you guys know red trellis frames are my favorite. Period. End of statement. I have nothing else to say. So I love the way this looks. I'm kind of hit and miss on the shock. Part of me is like, oh yeah, it's this cool yellow shock. The other part of me is like, but dude, that's the only yellow thing on this entire motorcycle. So I'm like, I don't know if I like it or not. You guys can see the tires here are dual purpose tires. We've got those bigger treads, so you're going to have a little more traction than you typically would on a street tire. You're not going to get anything like you would if you had a set of knobbies for it or something like that. Brakes look, we got Brembos. Look at that. Good job, Ducati. No surprise, but there is that. We do have ABS in the front. Do we have ABS in the rear? We may not. We do. Full ABS. Good time. So yeah, that's the Ducati Desert Sled. Definitely the number 2 looking Scrambler, in my personal opinion. If you guys disagree, please let me know in the comments down below. Now, before we get out of here, we got to take a photo for Instagram. If you guys are not following me, for one, you should be ashamed. How dare you? Secondly, if you guys are on Instagram at C2WPics, make sure to go over there and follow me for this photo right here. Also, if you look at that, you see that photo? If you see that photo on Instagram, let me know that you watched this video and you came over there from this video. We get a cool cop shot in this one. So yeah, guys, make sure to follow us on Instagram. I post photos of all the first ride bikes that I do, and I also do a lot of behind the scenes. You guys probably know, if you're subscribed to the channel and you watch our content here a decent amount, you know we do some higher production stuff. So I like doing a lot of behind the scenes. A lot of you guys ask, like, how do you get this shot, or how did you do that? We post a lot of that stuff over on Instagram. So again, at C2WPics if you guys are curious. But let's get back on this thing. Let's finish this tall boy up. I got some ideas for who I think this bike is for. And it's not shorter people. Ugh. All right. Let us begin the final part of the first ride. Definitely not going to be doing a wheelie out of here with the cop there. We successfully made it without getting in trouble by the cop. I don't know why we get in trouble. We just pulled into a parking lot and didn't do anything. No traffic? Hell yeah, fam. All right, guys. Wait, let's see what this red light's gonna do. Let's get a vibe. While we're sitting here, what do you guys think about the cockpit? Let me know. There it is. There's green. So, guys, who is the Desert Sled for? If we're gonna be real honest, it's almost made for me. But I have a WR250. I wish the engine was bigger, but I love everything else about it. If I was slightly less frugal and I didn't already have a WR, I would love this bike. I love my WR as my second motorcycle. I think I would love this almost more because of the engine, because I can do everything my WR can. Granted, the weight might get to me a little bit. But going back to who this bike is for, I feel like if you know you're gonna do the occasional off-road, but you want a bike that's really fun to ride on the road as well, and you like that kind of off-roady look, this bike is going to be solid for you. Granted, having a $12,000 price point is a little steep, but this has the potential of being your only motorcycle. I had a period of time where I only owned my WR250, and I'll admit, I got to the point where I was like, man, I need something else. I always say the WR250 is one of the best second motorcycles anybody could have. But this is a bike that can do everything my Supermoto can, but it also has a beefy enough engine to where if this is the only bike I had, I would be totally okay with it. Now, who is this bike not for? If you are a beginner rider, I would probably shy away from this thing. This is a motorcycle that's going to be for somebody that knows what they're doing. Also, if you're a shorter rider, I told you guys I'm 5'10" with a 32-inch inseam, and this bike's seat height is a little high for me. That paired with the weight is going to be troublesome for you if you're shorter and you're a beginner rider. If this bike starts to tip over on you, it's gonna be hard to survive that one. Not survive it, but you know, keep the bike up. And guys, that kind of brings us to the end of the first ride. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this little ride around with me. And if you did, please make sure to hit that like button, guys. I cannot express to you guys how important it is for you to hit the like buttons on the videos if you enjoyed them. And if you got to the end of the video, I would hope you would enjoy. These are typically like 30-minute long videos, so they're a pretty considerable amount of time. But guys, before we get out of here, huge shout out to Mountain Motorsports. Got this one from Roswell. That is the company here in North Georgia that I get all the bikes from. If it wasn't for them, I would not get to ride these bikes around for you guys to kind of tell you who they are best for. And guys, don't forget to check out the comparison series for all the scramblers. I'll have a link to the comparison series in the comments down below or in the description. That way you guys won't miss any of them. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any of them in your subscriber inbox. Guys, I'm Chaseontwowheels, and hopefully this Mercedes doesn't come into my lane. I will see you guys on the next one. Thank you so much for riding around with me. All right, outro crew, that is the Desert Sled. What do you guys think? Do you think that a dual-purpose motorcycle could be your only motorcycle? Granted, we're all different riders, but let me know, guys. Let me know what you think. Y'all ride safe out there now, hell. I should end every video like that. Gotta give the kids some love, man. We gotta make these kids into motorcyclists.